I will show you the step-by-step guide to going from a $1 business to a billion or even trillion-dollar business in this video. I've mapped out something truly great that I definitely want to share with you, but before we get started, I quickly want to give you a little bit of credibility, who I am and why I'm able to do such thing as showing you this entire roadmap. So my name is Fabian Werner. I'm a student from Germany. I'm currently studying for a bachelor's degree in e-commerce at the University of Applied Sciences Würzburg-Schweinfurt, where I'm proudly recognized as one of the top 20% of students. I've been in tech sales for 2 years and I've been in business for 5 years. I've started 3 businesses on my own. The first business I started was an e-commerce online shop that sold archive fashion pieces to people around the globe. My second business was a productized service agency where I helped businesses streamline their operations, mainly with a software called Notion. And my third business is the one you're watching right now, which is all about sharing content for free, making business owners smarter and operate businesses more sustainably and having fun with what they're doing. And this is where this quick drawing comes in that I just made, that you can see on screen right now. And I think it is truly amazing, and I want to show it to you and walk you through the ladders of wealth creation, how this model is called. So I did not come up with this, but I remodeled it to show you and explain it to you. So essentially, what you can see on this screen right here is every possible business that you can start range from a $1 business to a $1 trillion business, to the world's most wealthy or profitable or evaluated business. So how this system works is essentially that you go from bottom left, let's make it here from bottom left, so from here to the top right, meaning here, so this would be the end goals. And each and every ladder is gone up from bottom to top. It's climbed, it's a ladder. All right. So each step and each ladder step needs more skills and experience than the step before. But I think that is pretty much self-explanatory because no one could start the next Apple from scratch in the next 24 hours and be instantly evaluated as a a multi-trillion dollar company if they have never started even a business before. Okay. So the first step, the $1 business area, let's call it, or the absolute base is working a job that is hourly. So for example, you make jobs that help businesses getting done with tasks. For example, my first mini job that I did was for a a supermarket chain, a grocery store in Germany, where I was paid, I think, 8 euros per hour, putting stock into the display so people can buy it. Insanely dumb. It was the first job. It paid like 300 euros per month, but it was definitely not worth the time, and the money was not worth the time, and it was absolutely mind-numbing, and I was totally underwhelmed by it. So this is where everybody has to start. You have to start at the absolute bottom if you want to go to the complete top, at least in my opinion. So the next thing would be to getting a salary. So you're no longer doing this as a helper that does it every third Saturday for 2 or 3 hours, depending on how much they need you, but you have a fixed salary, meaning that you work 40 hours a week and then get paid, I don't know, $1,500 in return, for example. This would be a salary job. And the sad thing, at least from my entrepreneurial spirit, is that most people cap out their lives from a business standpoint at this ladder. They never expand going over this step because, as you can see, life has so much more to offer from a work perspective and from a feeling of, getting valued, that I think is absolutely crazy if you don't ever even try it out for yourself, starting an own business, doing what you love, following your passion, getting paid for that in return. So this is why I want to make this video. So the next step, now in the second ladder, is the jump from being an employee to being the one who employs. But first of all, we start on our own. This is the next letter right here. And the first step right here will be client work. So essentially, you knock on doors and you say, hey, I am a graphic designer. I have worked for 10 years in graphic design and I design logos for companies in my free time. In my day job, I design mobile apps in a software called Figma. And then you tell them a little bit about your story and ask them if they need a logo for their website, for example. This would be the first one. So you go out, reach out, and get clients. The second step would be project-based, meaning people come to you and they ask you, hey man, I want to get a new logo done for my website. How much is it and how long does it take? Then you say them all of the details and then you have a project. So you work on a project basis and get paid in return for the result you deliver. Depending on how good you are, you can deliver the result faster or less fast. And then, of course, you can supercharge that by employing a team that does the work for you. So you can scale and put on more projects, and you can scale by knocking on more people's doors, digitally or offline, whatever suits you best. So this would be the equivalent, this step right here, the team service work to running a design agency. All right, next letter. It gets even more interesting with each step we climb. The next step would be finding a fixed scope like task or work. So for example, I do this for this. Pretty simple. I invest the money for you if I can keep 10% of the profit I make off of it, for example. The next step would be something like consulting packages. So to keep with our design topic, let's stay at the first one for a second. So for example, if your website gets more revenue because I designed a new good looking logo, I will keep 10% of the revenue the website does. So you no longer get paid by the hour, but paid by results, which is actually good, but there, because then in this state you can truly show off what you're uniquely good at. Now the consulting packages would be, I consult you on how to make a good logo, or I will critique your website and improve the design of it. The next thing would be to do something like offering services. For example, I come and redesign your entire website, and in return you pay me X amount, or in return I get paid on a results basis. And the next step would be to do a productized service. What does that mean? Well, you have it essentially like a software subscription where people simply enter and subscribe to over your website. It is completely asynchronous and they essentially book themselves a new website redesign. So they go on your website, they book it for like next week, and then you deliver and message back and forth until the project is perfect, and then you will deliver the productized service. So you sell website design as a service. Now we get to the last letter. There it gets really interesting. The first step right here is digital products. The last letter is all about scale. So you can only work so much hours in a day, but with more scalable assets, they are most often, if you like have a look deeper on yourself, are code-based or media-based. The leverages before here are based on human labor and on finances, on money. So you can easily create more videos that get watched online, but you cannot as easily, like you can easily 10x the output of videos you do or 10x the results by making one video better, but it is harder to like employ 10 more people. But on the other side, it is easier to manage 10 times the capital than it is to employ 10 times the people. So you have this order of like labor is worse. Like worse, it's still good, but it's not as scalable as money. And that is beaten by code and media at the same stage. This is a concept based from Naval Ravikant, which I absolutely subscribe to. Okay, so digital products are code-based or media-based if you're recording a video course and then selling it online. So it's definitely scalable. You can sell infinite units without like any high cost. So Naval calls it with marginal cost of replication, meaning that each new unit is essentially for free at a certain point. So for example, if you sell t-shirts, then each t-shirt is as like demanding to sell as the one before it. But every new subscriber to your software gets cheaper because you get better rates and that kind of stuff. It also applies to t-shirts, but it's way cheaper with software and media. So each new viewer to my YouTube video does not cost me anything, but each new like buyer of a t-shirt or of a archive fashion garment that I used to sell, of course, costs me the money I had to invest upfront to get this item produced for me or to acquire it into my collection. So this is digital products. Then product ecosystems would be something like here, the Apple ecosystem. They've made it as good as nobody else does because they're currently the world's most valuable company. But to stay with the design topic again, with digital products, you could sell a design course. So how to design your website, taught by a graphic designer with 10 years of experience in that field. This would be a scalable digital asset. Then for product ecosystem, you could launch your own iOS app, for example, in the App Store. So you integrate it into an existing ecosystem or a plugin on a software like WordPress or Figma or whatever, where you launch your own, let's say, software or app that allows people to generate color palettes to make their design process faster and supercharged. Then the next step would be to purchase or to sell physical products or something e-commerce related. So physical or digital products. For example, if you start a clothing company that has your designs on them or your logos that look beautiful, or you make designs for that. So you start a movement of graphic design and sell that over an e-commerce store backed by your brand that you've built along the way and your reputation and credibility. Then this would be the next step to go. The step after that would be software related consulting. So you would hop on calls, or your team would hop on calls for you to just simply critique a website in a couple of minutes, and then you get like paid hundreds of thousands of dollars for that. So you always have to imagine someone at this level would be someone like Warren Buffett. If he would give you investment advice in what he is buying in Berkshire Hathaway at the moment, only for 5 minutes, it would definitely be a very valuable conversation. So this would be this step of the software. Or if Gary Vaynerchuk would give you branding advice that is specialized to your brand, this would be the step right here. And the next step would be SaaS, meaning software as a service. For example, there are thousands of SaaS. The first one, what was the first one actually? You can Google it, but essentially everything that allows you to save time and money by automating it or dedicating it to code. So for example, if you have a software that lets you schedule your posts on a social media platform, instead of you having to do it manually, that is software as a service. So the service would be automatic scheduling, so you don't have to be there at the right times pressing publish on the pieces of content. So this for what would be a SaaS for a design example? So for example, a SaaS would be something, let's say you make it AI related, you enter 10 to 15 prompts, and then based on those prompts, an AI will create you a website layout that you can get inspired by, and maybe you can cross promote this AI software with your iOS app with color palettes. So the AI pulls for a add-on subscription, which would be an upsell, pulls from the color palettes that you've saved in the iOS app and then makes your website already on brand when it designs the website, something like that. And the next step would be a marketplace or a social network. This is essentially the highest stage where you can get to. So for example, let's say you want to start a marketplace, then you could say you want to make a job board for designers where companies can hire top design talent across the globe, remote or on-site, and you provide the marketplace for that, and on each hire you get paid a commission, for example. So you don't own or have the designers employed, but you offer and you merge designers that are needed or want to get a job with companies that are looking for designers in this example. And a social network would then be something like a Pinterest for designers or something like that, where they could post their design work to maybe then also get hired by companies. So you could connect the social network with a marketplace, something like LinkedIn does, for example. this is essentially it. This is the way how you go from a $1 company working an hourly job to a marketplace in combination with a social network that does hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue per year. I hope you got a little bit smarter by watching this video. I definitely got smarter by drawing this graphic and visualizing this entire process. So if you want to learn more stuff like that, then I would highly recommend you check out my newsletter in the description down below, which teaches you all about like knowledge I gain on my journey, all of successes and failures I experience, and it open sources all of my business numbers and metrics. So every number of revenue, every sales metric, every change I do in my business gets open sourced in my newsletter emails that I write on a frequent basis. So I would really appreciate if you would check that out. And without further ado, I want to thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.